When we originally set out on the instantly regrettable task of reading the Bible almost 2 years ago, the goal was to find out for ourselves what's actually in there. Is it as bad as atheists say? Is it as good as believers say? Is it actually the great work of literature that many secular critics claim? Is it really as boring as everyone who's ever read any significant portion of it insists? Well, now we know that the answers to those questions are a definitive yes, no, not even close, and you have no fucking idea.
We could also tell you which tribes deserve to be genocided, who called dibs on the oil first, and the rape victim price floor in silver.
But tonight we're going to officially be putting the Old Testament to rest by tackling a few of its deep questions and ethical prescriptions. And, of course, we're not letting the person who suggested all this Bible-reading shit in the first place off the hook, so joining us for this meta-babble is my lovely wife, Lucinda. Lucinda, welcome back.
Greetings and salutations, boys.
And, of course, still with us is notorious glutton for punishment, Eli Bosnick. Eli, appreciate you sticking around.
Thanks for having me back.
Now, unlike the rest of us, you'd actually done a holistic reading of the Bible long before we started tackling it, so when we decided to do this, I came to you looking for advice, which means that you had a chance to talk me out of this, and you barely even tried.
Unbelievable.
Just in case anybody's wondering why we send Eli to all of these horrible movies, that probably has something to do with it.
There was a reason.
Anyway, what I thought we'd do tonight is try to look at the Old Testament as a whole and see if we can piece together the larger messages that unite it. So I asked everybody to come up with the 5 most pertinent lessons that they took away from reading the Old Testament. Lucinda, we're going to start with you. What do you have for number 5?
All right, number 5 is have a penis. I mean, I know they require some alterations here and there, but they don't sound too pleasant, but apparently they're better than the alternative.
Yes, definitely better than
I'd go with
not
the
having a penis. Eli, number 5.
Don't murder anyone unless they do one of many, many, many things, in which case murder the shit out of those people.
And their pets.
And their pets and their kids and the rocks that their kids once looked at. Everybody.
Yeah. All right, now I'm going to go with number 5 is that God is not even trying. I mean, let's set aside now. Like, back in Moses' day, he was making plagues, parting rivers, mooning mountains, all kinds of shit. But even by the middle of this book, he started delegating all the important shit to, like, ranting naked prophets. So God's not even trying. That's my number 5.
You can tell because this is how so many creative processes go, right? You're going to join a band, and your friend who is the really big favorite, he was going to be the big guy for the band who starts out, making calls to everybody, and then you can't get him on the phone. This is just God all over.
Yes, exactly. All right, Heath, number 5.
All right, well, I'm with Lucinda on the penis having idea, but even more specifically, yeah, have the penis, the alterations, but make sure a Jewish dude mutilates it and blows you while you're a young child. The longer you wait, the more, awkward it gets when you finally do it. Just get out of the way.
It's like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Ew.
And then blowing wherever you rip the Band-Aid off.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So my number 4 is God is a huge fan of dead goats, sheep, animals in general. Just kill as many as you can. And so I believe he can hang out with them. I think he misses them.
Is that it?
He wants to hang out with them, pet their fur in heaven. It's like a giant Lenny from, Mice and Men.
Right.
Like, yeah, send me the rabbits, George.
See, now you're being way kinder than I would as to what you think God's doing once he gets him up there. So, he's got a divine petting zoo. That's fine. That's not where I'd have gone first, but we'll be nice.
He's mutilating their penises and then blowing them.
Slightly better. I was in between those two things, actually. I thought he was fucking them in the rectum. Now, for my number 4, and this game is quite a shock, as it turns out, fish intestines are fairly roomy. There's a lot more room to us to stretch out than I would have expected. So, it's an important lesson.
I think I'm going to go with, the part where, you guys remember this part where you learn that, if we stand about, with our feet shoulder width apart, we rotate our torso to generate power, and this is the important part, take a medium swing. That's the best way to beat our slaves with a bat. You want them to get knocked out, but like 48 hours max. That's just be reasonable. Otherwise, you're just being an unreasonable slave owner, so.
That's why you do that stretch in gym class when you're a kid, when you go back forward side. That's where
that came from. Oh.
We called that the slave swing. I went to school in the South, so... Just did the slave rod swing. Lucinda, what do you got for number 4?
All right. I learned that back in the days of the ancient Jews, only the wisest people knew that mothers didn't want their babies chopped in half.
Right.
Right. That made you wise enough to be a king and write psalms, apparently.
Yeah.
Don't-
I was not
He was
particularly.
the king of wisdom.
Right. Who would have
Also,
thought?
You're
don't
smart.
rate people's eye sockets. What do you speak of?
What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, if you're going to be like just throwing out don'ts, I would have got to don't rate people's eye sockets way before the boiling the goat in its mother's milk thing, or the shellfish. All right, so for number 3, I'm going with this, and this is something that I felt a lot of times when you're getting to the end of a large work. It seems to me that the Messiah mythos is so all over the map that the Jesus story is going to have to end up like the last episode of Lost. There is no way, or the Cylons or something like that, there's no way that they're going to tie all this shit together in one dude in the second book. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm bracing myself for sort of a Lost-type disappointment at the end of this book.
And that's a perfect metaphor because there's still people hanging around defending it.
Right.
Just like, oh, man, the nuts did at the end. And it's like, fuck you, man. 9 seasons of my life. I could have read a book.
Not cool.
Or 2. So, Heath, what do you have for number 3, man?
All right. I enjoyed learning this lesson. If you've got a 900-year-old alcoholic father who's always got his dick out, make sure you walk around the house backwards so you feel it before you see it. That's important. Or else, your whole descendant tribe might get fucked up.
It goes bad for people all the time.
In his defense, if I live to 900, my dick is always out. What am I going to tell you?
You
I'm
earned
900
it.
years old. Fine, go ahead. Keep it out there. Good for you.
Probably wouldn't be able to see it under all the wrinkles anyway.
Yeah, there you go. And Lucinda?
All right. I'm a lot more rapeable than I thought I was.
Oh, God.
I mean, if Angel...
How
Okay.
capable did you think? Okay.
I
No,
mean,
it makes sense.
come on. If an angel is about to get butt
Answer the
fucked...
question.
If an angel is about to get butt fucked or just some random Levite in Gibeah, I'm the moral alternative for the rape game. I did not know that.
Now, I also want to say,
Good
on
to
a
know.
related subject, baby, if any Gibeons ever gang fuck you to death, I promise to do the noble thing. I will chop you into pieces and see just how serious the post office is about that whole if it fits, it ships line. I will be a good husband.
Good to know. Good
Or
to know. You're gonna
concubine
spread-
owner or whatever.
Spread me
You
around
guys
some.
are so romantic.
He loves me.
And Eli.
My number 3 is going to be just because, and this is true of the whole Bible, but definitely the Old Testament, just because you started talking about one subject doesn't mean that you... Can you catch a fish? Huh? Can you?
Of all of God's mindless tirades, that is what you're talking about, the one in Job where he just suddenly goes like, I got a kraken once. We're just fishing pole and strangling it with my bare hands. Is that? Yeah, that was a.
Yeah, it's in mid-sentence, too. Again, I said it at the time. It's the drunken stepdad rant of the Lord Almighty.
All right, we're getting down to the very nitty-gritty, most important shit. Heath, what do you have for number 2, most important lesson that you learned from the Old Testament?
Okay, well, it seems like they really wanted to outlaw raping, but 11 commandments just doesn't sound catchy enough. So then, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? They almost
5
did.
at 5.
Yeah. We'd have had to have that extra finger somewhere. It would have been really weird. How about Lucinda? What'd you have for 2?
Bruce Willis was dead the entire time.
Well, just
Spoiler alert.
tell everybody, why
Spoiler
don't
alert.
you?
Oh, I love The Fifth Element.
True story.
Yeah, his performances have been dead since Moonlighting, but all right, so Eli, number 2?
My number 2 is, I'm the only God. Just me. Are you looking at that other God right now? Seriously? Never mind. I just want to go home. Well, if you wanted to stay, don't check out other gods the entire time. I'm not making a scene. I'll make a scene if you want me to make a scene.
Screw you guys. I'm going
All right,
home.
mine is going to be such a disappointment after that. I just have, don't you make no high places. God likes perfectly level. All right,
Sea level.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
The same. I want to be able to play billiards across fucking continents. All right, and now I feel like there should be a drum roll, but don't worry, there won't be. Number 1, Lucinda, the number 1 lesson that you learned from reading the Old Testament.
Number one thing I learned is do not read the Old Testament. There can't possibly be nothing better to do.
Right. Yes.
There is no situation in which the alternatives are worse. than reading the
Absolutely.
Old
I'd
Testament.
rather watch
not do
TLC
Yeah. You
Leave it alone.
Try to jerk off to Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman and have a better time than reading the Old Testament. I mean that.
Never tried that one, but
See,
I'll
I tried
give it a
jerking
shot.
off to Richard Gere in that one. That's not hard.
It's easier. It's easier to do than Julia Roberts. Just picture those teeth. Oh.
I'd rather not, actually. So but I'd rather do that than read the Old Testament. So to Lucinda's point,
Touché.
I'm going to go with what I feel like is the overriding message of this book so far. If there was one pivotal, essential point, one bullet point that you're supposed to come away with, it is that people that are different than you should die.
All of them.
Pretty clear on that.
That was if they had to boil it down to one sentence. I'm thinking that would have been the sentence.
Or maybe Palestine? Palestine? There's no such thing as Palestine. Talking about Palestine? Playoffs?
All right, the segment of the audience that got that one loved it. And Eli, your number one lesson.
Mine is the perfect, omniscient creator of the universe is a terrible poet, storyteller, and person.
Right.
All around, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what,
The analogy section of the SATs, so we got rid of it.
yeah, I mean, Dawkins absolutely said it best. There is no worse character in all of fiction than Old Testament God. All right, now finally, one other quick little exercise here. If you guys had to reduce the essence of the Old Testament into the size of a tweet for the TLDR crowd, how would you do it? Lucinda, 140 characters or less.
All right, God is a whiny bitch. There, hit it with 118 characters to go.
Nice. Well done. Well done.
Nice.
That nails it.
Heath?
I'm going to go with Yahweh's the real one. All the good shit is ours. You guys can borrow the rest of the universe. Hashtag we got chosen suck it. Hashtag plagiarize the annals of the kings of Judah. Why didn't you fucking read it?
Nice. Well, after that one, I don't think that mine's necessary. But I was going to go with, at first there was nothing, which somehow still includes God. He said, let there be light, and has been homicidally regretting it ever since. So, by the way, you have to use one ST to get that into, to get that into 140 characters. But it's still just us making it.
I went with, God creates the world. How dare you be the way I created you? Here's how to kill a goat, some porn/poetry, and a list of people I hate.
Holy shit, to know that you could have just told me that and saved me 21 months of begats. Well, guys and gal, I cannot thank you enough for suffering through Earth's most overrated thing with me.
It's over.
It is. That part
is, anyway. Yeah.
Now, in 3 weeks, we're going to be getting our gospel on as we crack open the New Testament for the first time. And I want to say, as far as percentages go, the New Testament is about as much of the Bible as the post-Sauron part of Lord of the Rings. So this should be a cakewalk compared to the shit that we've done up till now.
Worst testament ever.
You guys are just riding on the backs of evils from here on out.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
we have to?
Eli, thanks again for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.